Welcome to Michelin Star Awards. You know, we got our own awards too, you know.
We do.
But yeah, I think just in general, yeah, we long overdue. Because that's one thing I always said. We taught the world how to cook, you know.
Right. So how we don't have that in a city like Atlanta, that's just craziness, man.
You know why? Because that shows a lot of, like, the structure, you know. Yeah. And a lot of people knowing, like, yo. Because I know sometimes I be thinking, if we get this shit, like, I don't think we're going to be too powerful, but we're going to scare a lot of people.
Well, yeah, because...
We're going to scare a lot of people,
listen,
man.
You fuck around because they absolutely know, right?
Stuff.
Like, having a Michelin star restaurant in Atlanta, that shit going to blow up overnight.
What? Oh, my God.
As soon as they get the Michelin star, nigga, it's a wrap.
Especially if it's owned by us, man. Listen, it's over.
That's what I'm saying.
Because now you're going to get... Because my thing is, I like taking people on a journey, you know?
Exactly.
Especially our people, because as amazing chefs that we are, we know a lot of people in our culture that's like, yo, all right, it's well done steaks, come on now.
Yeah,
come
like,
on.
Why we eating this shit?
You see what I mean? So it's like, but me, I enjoy the journey of showing anybody, like, from that type of person to, like, getting their palate up to where they can eat, like, a gourmet meal and really understand what they're eating.
The intelligence of the meal.
Yeah, understand the intelligence of the art, you know? And I tell people, you can learn a lot about a person based off how they cook. Like, the care they have in cooking, like, it's a lot. But, yo, welcome to Nitty's Kitchen, chef to chef. You know, I'm here with Chef Todd. Thank you so much for this interview. We're about to have a really great one. I'm about to let him introduce himself, tell you what he's about, man.
All right, so Chef Todd, originally from Orlando, Florida, now residing in the ATL, doing business in the ATL, Black Excellence. I've been in the game maybe, I told you, about 10 years.
Yeah, man.
What, 10 years now. Man, it's been such a great journey. A lot of connections, a lot of, you know, ups and downs, learning experiences, but, you know, just being grateful for it all. And man, just ready to keep pushing it to the next level. Okay.
So what's up, man? Tell me, man. Tell me about, like, what inspired you to start cooking? What was that thing where it's like, you know what? I'm gonna take this to the top.
Man, I think initially for me, I was really just looking for an outlet for my, like, creativity. I feel like I'm just a real creative at heart anyway. You know, I kind of found cooking later on in life. So about 28 years old or something like that. And I've been doing it ever since. I've been doing it for maybe about 10 years now. So for me, it was when I got into culinary school, one of my mentors, shout out to Chef Izzy from the Culinary Institute down in Orlando, Florida, Second Harvest. And you know, him really just believing in my ability. I remember he would, you know, I tell that story all the time where I remember he would tell the class, like, oh yeah, Chef Marcus is gonna be, you know, a big name, he's gonna be in magazines, he's gonna all this stuff, even before I even was thinking of anything like that. Now when you have somebody that believes in you in that type of way, I feel like it just, you know, put that battery pack in you and just, you know, power you forward.
You see, that's amazing, because I feel like I had two chefs like that. You know, especially when I was like a freshman in school. One of them, his name was Chef Sonic, right? And he used to like get on me because he used to be like, Damien, you're so fucking smart. I could tell you could be one of the best ones. You just gotta apply yourself.
Right.
But this time, you know, I'm going through a lot. Grandfather passed away. But you know, it's like that push, it made me like, you know what? I can. And then there was a chef called Chef Jenga, right? And he was the first one, especially as a black chef, that was like, yo, you're going to be here every day, even when you're not in school, even when you're not You gonna come to me, report to me every day. I'm gonna buy you your chef knives. I'm gonna buy you everything. Like, he really like showed me like that. Oh shit! Like, you could be a Superman. Like, you could really, right, you could really like guide somebody through they like
journey.
Yeah, man, it was a blessing, man.
Nah, for sure.
So tell me. You know, this culinary industry have highs and lows, right? Mm-hmm. What was your highest moment, and what was your lowest moment?
Ooh, man. Oh, crazy enough, right? I will say, so we'll start off with the good. So the good, I remember back in, what was it? I want to say it was 2018. I had been at my job down in Orlando. It was the first restaurant I ever worked at for about 3 years. Worked my way all the way up from starting off from prep and dishwasher all the way up to executive sous. And I remember thinking like, man, I really like applied myself here. I really, learned a lot of skills and dedicated myself to the craft of it, right? And then decided to, move into the entrepreneurship space. And I remember when I got the first call for my first celebrity NBA client. Shout out to Jay and Grant, the Grant family, for giving me that opportunity. And I remember just feeling such a, being elated about it. Just like, man, I can't believe I get this opportunity to do this. This is something that I always wanted to do. Now on the lows, and I was just talking about this the other day, funny enough, I had took a wedding, like 300 person wedding. And I had never did that before. So, man, I remember it was kind of like it was a learning experience, like just figuring out food costs and it was so stressful. Mm-hmm. And then, but I learned so much from that in just preparation and treating my business the same way I treated, being in the restaurant, preparing, like I'm preparing for service. Decent plus, just making sure that I had my stuff in order. And I think that, that low point in being stressed out about that event really propelled me forward to, cross my T's, dot my I's, that type of thing.
I understand. I mean, we all go through it because, like, even for me, I've been in situations where I thought I knew I had it right. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, you know what, all right. I'm taking this party, doing this, but then like when you get there, it's like you never. What I learned in this industry, you have to expect the unexpected.
If it can go wrong, it will.
What? Oh my God! It'll be times where it's like, all right, you have electric ovens, you bring everything, but boom, the power goes out. What do you do now? Now all right, bring butane. Don't worry about electric. Bring butanes. Now it's like, okay. But all that stuff is learning lessons, and that's the stuff that I say rides the cream to the crop. Because a lot of people go through that part, and that's when it's like, nah.
It'll make you quit.
Yeah, it'll make you.
And you really have to be somebody that just, give yourself excuses and you're just not going to fold. Mm-hmm. I remember when I first moved up here, at points, people was calling me, the people that I work with, they was like, yo, you like the MacGyver of chefs. Because they like, I could put you in a broom closet with a spatula and a mirror, and you about to still create some magic in there. And I just learned that if you can thrive in that type of space, I mean, what you gonna do when they give you a full, the full gambit, you know what I mean? And so making sure that you stay true to your craft and to yourself in that space, it just, it builds character, bro.
Mm-hmm. And that's one reason why you really gotta love what you do, because when you love what you do, you look at those things like learning lessons instead of crash and burns. Yeah. It's like a sport. I compare this to a sport a lot, especially basketball. I love basketball. So it's like, yeah, you can be the best player in the world, but that don't mean you're not gonna get blown out by 30 once in a while. You know what I mean? You gotta listen. Even when you get blown out by 30, did you have 30 and 30? Like, did you have 30 and 10? Like, did you give it your all? If you gave it your all, you know what? We got to
live with the results.
But when you know, like you do events, and it's like I half-assed the event.
Because we don't know if we do.
Yeah,
if we half-assed it. I mean? Even if it's crazy because that you speak to that, because even most of the times when other people don't know that it's like it could have been this little one tweak here, this right here, you know, and when you know you didn't cross them T's and dot them I's, that, you know,
that shit hurts. That shit
hurts. It's good that you compare it to basketball because it's just like if you lose by 30, if you are one of those type of people who don't want to lose like that, you in the gym, now I got to put up some more shots. I got to go back over what I messed up because I need to make sure that don't happen again, you know? And I think you have to have that kind of mindset about life in general, but especially in our industry, you know, preparation is everything.
Listen, even when you have everything prepped, I've been in situations where none of the employees showed up. But it's a party of 100 people, and I'm the only one. It's been points where, but this is where I met real friends too, because I had real friends. To this day, one of my best friends, his name is Derek, right? Right? Everybody call him D-Ski. Bro, it was an event that I had, and I had like 6 people hired for that event. When I tell you nobody showed up to get there, it was him and one of my frat brothers, bro. When I tell you it was only them two, Dimension, bro. Shout out to you too, bro. Them two, they really like, yo, we got you. They came out the blue, bro. For shit like that, you remember, and then you start to like, all right, I know that next time you gotta, even if it comes to paying people, yo, pay up front or do however you gotta do it, bro. Just make sure
it gets taken care of.
Bro,
I mean, like,
facet, man.
You can't. I got a homeboy like that too. I remember the first real big event I took. It was like a 400-person funeral catering. Me and my one homeboy, shout out to my boy Kev, where we cooked 14 hours straight just to make sure it got done. And you know, he wasn't even no chef or even working in that industry. He was just my homeboy. So, you know, you build those lasting relationships and you appreciate that because, like, when it comes to our industry, man, like, even if you're a person that could do a lot, I always say this, like, you're not going nowhere without no team, bro. Not nowhere far anyway.
Nowhere far. You can hit the sky, but you won't hit the moon, bro.
Right. You won't even have enough to sustain it.
That's what I'm saying. Because you got to worry about too much other stuff, you know, and that's what you don't want to worry about. You want to worry about a whole lot of stuff that one person. Man, trust me, them lows is on lows, man. I get it. But when in those lows, right? What was that thing that made you want to like? I know we all got that passion, right? But what was that end goal? What was that end goal that you seen where it's like, yo, I can't live with myself if I stay in this position?
For me, it was just that I knew that like I hadn't reached my full potential yet, right? So it was like, all right, I can get better from this. I can learn from this. I know my end goal is to own restaurants, to be a restaurateur in that way, to consult, to create recipes, to be on the highest level that I possibly could take my career. And so I was like, this is not the end. I never believed that. It was always like, all right, this is a part of the journey, but it's not the journey. Because I've always had that, you know, it almost is like a grandiose vision of where you see yourself as a chef, as a person. And I feel like when you have that, you understand that it's a part of the journey. You don't just look at it like this is the end all be all.
All right, so you come out to Atlanta and everything, right? What was your experience working with like some celebrities like such as T.I. and like what was that experience like? Because I heard that, you know, I heard it could be like ups and downs when it comes to things like
for
that.
sure. When I the time that I did work with T.I. over at Social House, as far as like my dealings with him, like it was very, very upbeat, you know, very positive, had nothing but good things to say. I will say, when you're working with other entrepreneurs, I think that it's very important that you have to conversate about like how you view the situation and how that it should go, right? because I think that everybody needs to be on the same page. I think that's where you end up with mixed signals, and then like the experience is not overall like what you want it to be. So I think in that regard, yes, and you just have to work with like-minded individuals. I think when everybody's on the same page, the total picture comes together. When you got one person over here doing this over here and one person doing something different and y'all ain't on the same page, that's when you end up with situations like that. But overall, I feel like my dealings with any celebrities and stuff that's been in Atlanta has been very positive. I mean, I don't know. I know some people say they get that whole experience where people are kind of like trying to act, I don't know, bougie or anything like that. But I've never had that, experience with any of the celebrities I work with.
I feel like a lot of times when people say that, it's because people don't put themselves in other people's shoes.
For sure.
Especially as a celebrity, you gotta realize you're dealing with people, you're around people all day, every day. You're not gonna be at your peak every day. You're not gonna be, people gonna literally see you through your highs and your lows. And me, just being in the hospitality industry, you have to understand that's people in general. Mm-hmm. So you gotta treat everybody with respect at first, and then you gotta treat them with love and kind and kindness, because it's like, yo, I understand you're human just like me. You're not gonna always have a good day,
right? But
we're gonna make this shit work. But also, just to get back to what you were saying, this is what I don't like about a lot of like people who own like businesses
mm-hmm.
that deals with like hospitality and food, especially in the food industry, mm-hmm. because it's like a lot of people I feel are in it for themselves. For sure. And they try to make themselves a celebrity, and they try to make themselves bigger than what the whole situation is. Thanks. And that right there mess up a lot, because I feel like, for one, you can't be an owner and not trust the people that you have in your establishment.
Yeah, you can say that.
And that's one thing I feel like me as an owner, just being a manager and everything, I always give my employees the opportunity to say something that could grow the business.
For sure.
Or do something that could grow the business. Because I don't have every answer. But right. Guess what? I might hire a dishwasher and they might be like, yo, you should set up the bar like this. And we in Atlanta, I know you're not from here, but yo, everybody like Savannah Club, or everybody like this, or everybody like that. So maybe you should try to introduce that to them.
Yeah, because people have different vision, and you got to respect that. You know what I mean? And I think I always say as a leader, right? A leader accepts effective counsel.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not open to that, it's poor leadership. I think we're living in a space now, as far as business ownership, where, I'm not going to say it's easy, because everybody can't, necessarily open something. But it's easier to get in the space. It's harder to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's hard to find good help. The marketplace, as far as the ability to make money on your own, is so saturated now. Everybody's an entrepreneur. Because there's so many other ways to make money other than just working for somebody. Mm-hmm. So if you have good employees and good partners, you have to honor that. And I just think that ultimately, real leadership is showing vulnerability too, in a way that you say, I don't necessarily know this, or I may not be an expert in this aspect, so let me accept effective counsel from somebody who has a little bit more experience than I do in that situation. And I think, as a business owner, you showing up, especially in our industry, if you are not a person that likes to be of service, I personally think you don't need to be in the service industry. Mm-hmm. Because that's what the basis of it is.
Mm-hmm. Hospitality is really acts of service.
Acts of service. And if that ain't not something that makes you move, that is something that you're passionate about, to me, ultimately, I feel like it's not going to work out the way that it should.
That's a fact, and that's why I tell people, you got to really be in it, not just for the money. Yes, the money is a bonus. The money is, but it's something deeper than that. It's almost I enjoy making people happy.
Yeah.
That's just the basis. But I realized through my food, I can make people happier.
Right.
You know, so I already enjoy making people happy. So now I can make them happy to do a skill. Boom, you already got what it takes to win. Now, what I find in this industry is that you'll have a lot of people like us that understands like, yo, I got what it takes to win, but you'll have a lot of owners that try to like cap them. Like, no, I want you to make this. I want you to do this. I want you to be like this as a chef. It's like, but you don't even know what being a chef is.
That's one of the most difficult things I feel like for me that it's been to navigate in this space, which is like, okay, as a chef that's been in the game for 10 plus years, there's a lot of experience that comes with that. I think that a lot of business owners need to lean more on that end of it. Most of successful restaurants have a good food program. I would even dare to say most of the successful restaurants that we know of in Atlanta are very chef driven. And the owner trusts them to know what to make. Because when you're in that space, even from school, you understand what a kitchen looks like, what a line looks like, how that's supposed to be set up in order for it to flow right. There's a kitchen flow. A lot of times I've dealt with owners who like they want a certain type of food but don't understand production wise how that happens. You can say you want filet mignon cooked at whatever temperature, but if you don't got the equipment to cook this stuff like this, if you don't have the facilities, it's really like you almost are talking crazy.
And it's more like you could say, yo, I want to sell lobster. But it's like, yo, you're going to lose money selling a whole lobster. No, I want to sell whole lobster and steak. It's like, yo, how many people you think going to buy an $85 plate on a regular? You're going to buy 100 lobsters, you're going to have to throw away 50 because only 50 people brought it for the whole week.
Right.
You don't need that. Now, if you want to do lobster, we're going to break it down. We're making lobster rolls. Now, one lobster could feed three people. Now, boom, $18 a roll. Like, now you make your money.
You know?
Now it's not about just selling one lobster. It's about how can I take this and break it down and feed more people and still make money.
But see, I would say too, like a lot of owners, like you were saying, like they're very locked into what they want to do. I think ultimately, like if you are not a person that enjoys being of service in the service industry, or not a chef, and you don't have passion for food, and you just want to have a business that's gonna make money, right? To me, it would behoove you to get out of the way when it comes to like what you want to do, because it's really not about you. It's like, okay, these are the trends of what's selling, what's not selling. This is how a chef sees your kitchen or your facility and what's possible in that space, right? And then we also know, because we're involved so much on the food end, we know food costs, we know food trends, like what typically if chicken wings went up this particular quarter of the year, we need to switch to something else.
Oh my, listen.
You know?
Eggs went up 500%, bro.
Right.
Listen,
and so how do you pivot? You know what I'm saying? And if you're just a business owner, even if you know on the business side what that entails, you don't know food cost and trends and all of that. Your chef does. So you have to be an integral partnership with them. And it has to be a lot of transparency through that. Because if not, it's like you shoot yourself in the foot. Because ultimately, you look at it like, it's about competency. Leadership is about competency. Who knows the most about the subject? That's who you lean toward, right? So if I'm a business owner and I'm opening a restaurant, I'm going to lean more toward a chef that has this competency in this area. I am not about to sit up here and have the ego of, because I opened a restaurant, I know what I'm doing.
Everything.
Like, you don't. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, it's just what it is.
Yo, that's like the story of this industry. Like,
yeah.
I know lawyers that open up restaurants thinking they know everything about a restaurant. And then that's why 80% of restaurants fail within the first year, because people think they know and they have no idea. The ones that do know, they don't want to pay them for it. And it's crazy.
Because they try to treat the kitchen like it's not the lifeblood of the restaurant. it's the engine that make all of that go. And if you don't have a strong kitchen, which means you have to have a strong chef, like, it's not gonna work. The social media era we live in now, people think that you can just paint some shit, it look nice, and you can operate it any type of way you want to, and it's gonna be successful, and it's not. You know, you have to really understand that, like, from a restaurant standpoint, we're not talking about like something else where the food is optional. You know what I mean? If you open in a restaurant, even a bar, if you got liquor, you gotta sell food. So it's important. You know what I mean? And like, to put it on the back burner as if it's optional to have a good kitchen or not is wild to me. You know?
That's the most important part.
Right.
That's like the offensive line in the NFL. It's
Without
like,
that,
you ain't gonna win the game.
You ain't gonna win the game.
You're not gonna win no games without an offensive line.
You're just not.
You cannot just act like that don't exist. You can't act like, you know what, I'm paying the offensive line pennies. I'm paying them pennies and they're gonna do the work of somebody who's elite. And it's like, no. And this is why you see why a lot of chefs are actually leaving the industry.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yo, I'm not about to sit here and make $60,000 working 65 hours a week. And you looking at me like everything falling on me. I'm going home stressed out. I'm having nightmares about the printing machine. Right. The delivery's not coming. The delivery truck not coming in right. Like, it's supposed to get here at 6. It came in at 4. Why? Because you haven't paid your bill and your checks, and you probably like $10,000 back owed to them. Right. I'm not about to sit here and do this.
Yeah, because I'm not. And then they gotta, you know, bargain with you about what I'm getting paid. Bro, like,
listen,
I'm not about to argue with you about that. What? Why?
I'm at a point now. Listen, when people be wanting about like really in a real industry, like, yo, I want you to be executive chef. Listen, we talking. I'll take less money, but I need part ownership.
Oh, yeah, I need ownership. I need equity.
Up? Like, I need something. I'm not about to just sit here and make $80,000, $75,000, knowing inflation coming. Then like, yo, a lot of people want to start you off at like $50,000, $60,000 a year, and then they want you to cry for an extra $2,000.
I'm not about to cry nobody. I'm gonna tell you what I really realized is I've been on this entrepreneurship journey. I would say maybe about 3.5, maybe 4 years, so a little over 4 years. And once I realized, I would say, especially the last 2.5 after COVID, I can create the same salary that they're willing to try to base me off of. I can literally create that on my own just by sitting at home.
That's a fact.
So, because I know I can do that via my own, you know, work, if you want me to come into a restaurant and I already know what it takes to run a successful restaurant, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not going to nobody's restaurant for less than $100,000.
What? Easy $100,000.
Especially if you talk about value.
What?
Value, I might ask for 120, 25, 150.
Listen, it depends on the value too, because this is how I look at it. I like, as a chef, I can make a restaurant an average restaurant can make about 60 to 100, about 60,000 a week. Right? Like, if you're doing it right, you can make about 60 to 75,000 a week. And you mean to tell me I'm only worth 1 week out of 52 weeks?
That's craziness, bro.
You bugging the fuck out.
And then not only that, then they take all your intellectual property, because as chefs, we already know, you make something at the restaurant, whose is it now? It's the fucking restaurant. They own it. And then at that point, you know, that's why I say as chefs now, with a lot of the chefs that really know what they're doing, they're pushing for ownership because they're getting robbed. I mean, like, you come up with dishes, and then this dish makes this person millions of dollars, and then, like, they could just, once you teach somebody else to do it, they could just fire you. And so, what does that leave us at? You know, and then to try to compensate somebody, like you said, 1 week of what they make for the year, and then expect them to, you know, especially when you understand the business.
What?
Like, nah.
Because I know throughout that whole year, you probably made like $2 million, $3 million. Like, I could evaluate somebody's business. I could evaluate somebody's business An average business can be evaluated at $2 or $3 million. That's an average restaurant.
Right.
So just imagine a real restaurant where I'm talking about fine dining, like top quality shit. You're looking at like $5-6 million a year.
Possibly more than that.
Possibly more than
location.
That. You mean to tell me I'm helping you make $5 to $6 million a year, and I'm only
you trying to pay me $50,000?
Listen.
But it's a real slap in the face.
I'll take $100,000, then I'm gonna need like a $20,000 signing bonus. Then I'm gonna need like a $20,000 Christmas bonus. Yeah. Listen, you're not about to
play with me like that.
You're not about to play with the most important person in the kitchen.
In the kitchen, bro. I would even go as far to say is in a restaurant, the chef, a good chef, is almost the most important person in the whole restaurant.
That's a fact.
Because everybody else doesn't necessarily got to have a skill set like that. Like an owner is paying the bills. As long as they have a way to generate income, they're paying the bills. Not saying it don't take no skill at all, but it don't take the amount of skill that we have to have. You got to create something out of nothing.
That's a fact. And you got to know how to pivot when people call out. When people, what? Listen.
Because you know how it is.
I know how it is.
When the restaurant packed, it don't matter who called out. Guess what? The guests don't give a, they don't care. You gotta get this stuff out. And at a timely manner where they ain't waiting and looking crazy about it.
That's it. And that's what people don't understand. A lot of people don't understand that like the beauty that and the passion we really have for our art. You know, because it's not easy. It's not easy. You know, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of patience, a lot of effort, blood, sweat, tears, you know, that we really put in it to, like, show people that, yo, we actually care about what you eat. We actually care about your experience, you know? And you find, like, especially when I'm in positions, like, people gravitate towards me and ask me all the tough answers. I mean, all the tough questions. Because they know, like, my passion alone is going to make me want to learn.
Want to know, yeah.
You know, and want to know. So by me wanting to know, I know. So now people want to know, feel comfortable asking me because they know, like, yo, out of all people, Chef Nitty, he be in the kitchen 16, 17 hours. Like, he be at open and close. Like, he never complain. He always make sure everybody else happy. Like, stuff like that is like a coach. It's valuable. It's not just about cooking. It's about understanding that this person that you have right here is going to be like a father figure to a lot of these people in this building.
I'm trying to tell you.
You know, it's going to be like a mentor to a lot of people in this building. It's not,
you know, a lot of chefs don't even. You know, I've met younger chefs and people that work in the industry who may just be cooks, and they've never seen a chef, you know, who is passionate about what they're doing. And so, like, there's a responsibility that comes with that. You know what I mean? And I think some chefs don't understand that either. But when you show up and you not being who you supposed to be, you know, there's people looking at you. There's always people looking at you. And you never know who that person could be. You know, and I think that you have a responsibility in that regard, especially when you're in a leadership position, to show up properly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You have to. That's the only thing a lot of people probably like, yo, show up properly, you know, put your head down. We're going to enjoy ourselves. We're going to have fun, yes, but also we're going to take this shit serious. We're going to know that this is what we love to do, and we're here to win chips. You know, we could lollygag, we could do all that.
But work get done first. That's it. How I've always been.
You can do it while working. You know, it's like,
as long as you being productive.
That's it. You don't think I'll be a first one. You know, I understand, like, especially us as chefs, as cooks, we dedicate a lot of time in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. You know, nobody sees us. We be missing our sports games. I'll be the first one. I'll put the TV in the back. You know, I'll make sure our sports is on. The music is playing. We having fun. We enjoying ourselves. This ain't gonna be on some, hey, everybody shut up, quiet in the kitchen. No, it's like, yo, you gonna feel like, yo, I want to go to work. Because sometimes I'll go to work to be unstressed. You know,
man, I remember it's crazy. The first restaurant that I worked at, shout out to Casa, and we used to have what they call Wind Down Wednesdays. Bro, I tell you, it was maybe about on average, maybe 400 or 500 people every Wednesday, right? So at that time I was working so much, I probably was putting in at least 70, 80 hours on every Wednesday. Because I was, at the time, I was executive sous. So I was coming in at like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, you know, and I'm leaving like 8. But on Wednesdays, you know, it was a little bit easier. I would bring changing clothes, change in the closet, come out, go to Wind Down Wednesday, and literally that was the only time I actually went out. Other than that, I'm locked into the restaurant. Mm-hmm. So it's like I don't think people really understand like the amount of time that you know dedicate that space. So if you don't love it, you ain't gonna want to show up. And so for me, it's like I love that at the time that place so much that I was like, even when I go out, I'm going out here. Like I done seen this place more than I see my own house. You know, I'm literally going home, go to sleep, get back up, come back. You know, but it teaches you a lot, discipline, and then especially when you enter an entrepreneurship space, you have those disciplines to like lean back on.
Mm-hmm. Because you start seeing how other people did it. And even the ups and downs, you'll be like, all right, I would do this different, and I would do this the same. Because this worked for 90% of the people that's successful. So why would it not work for me? You know? Like, this don't work for most people that's, like, so it's all about just learning and understanding that.
You got to be a student of the game. You know
have
what
to.
I mean? Like, and like you said before, like, you know, when you look at it, like, I apply a lot of that industry to basketball, too. And like, you know, when you're a student of the game, you're gonna watch film, which means you know, you practice recipes. You understand, okay, in the heat of the battle, when we in the proverbial weeds, you know what I'm saying? Like, who responds? How did we respond? Like, what happened during that? If I got, you know, this many tickets, like, what I needed to do to make it more efficient. And if you thinking like that, because I was always like that. I was like, all right, I did this good this time. Well, let me see if I can get this a little, even if it's a second faster. How can I save a little bit of time? You know what I mean? And then once you, and I tell people like, if you set up your kitchen in a restaurant like you do your house, right? Everything is in the same place. When you show up and you know that this is always going to be here, this is always going to be here, you know, well, it's a beautiful thing to see a line where everybody's moving in that space. It's like it's like a sweet symphony. It's like, you know, y'all doing a dance almost. It's amazing to see because you know it when you see it. Where it's just like people, you're almost moving effortlessly. You know what I mean?
It's like second nature.
Yeah. Where it's like they can reach for it, they ain't even looking at it. It just, you know.
I tell people, being in the kitchen, especially when when all that pressure, I think that's the only time where I feel like that outer body experience.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like you looking at yourself in the corner and you just see yourself working.
And you like,
and you just locked in. You're like, I'm doing this shit.
I'm doing this shit. Right?
You start dancing and shit.
You know?
Oh, man.
And then you know in your mind when it clicked to where it's no longer that you trying to figure it out. It's like, you know what you're doing. You just flowing. You know what I mean?
Now you're doing tricks with it.
I know, because you dance nice now.
Bro,
you know? And you know when it click in your head where it's like that, he's like, man, I'm really doing this.
So tell us.
Okay.
Tell us more about your dessert business.
Okay, so, man, back in 2020, COVID hit. Everybody know the restaurants shut down and all that kind of stuff. So I told myself I needed to make sure that I could always pivot. No matter what happened in the world, my source of revenue would not be interrupted in that way, right? Got to Brianna Kelly, and she just one day she asked me, she was like, man, like where do you see yourself going with this? And that's when I told her the idea about the ghost kitchen. So decided to open the ghost kitchen with desserts. I am one of the people, I got a sweet tooth, like I know a lot of people do. And I noticed I was just like, man, at nighttime you really can't get no quality dessert like that. Most of the time you get something, you know, you gotta go to the gas station, you get a little Debbie cake, some bullshit like
manufactured
that.
bullshit.
Yeah, nothing real chef inspired or handcrafted, you know. And so that's where that idea was birthed from. Midnight Munchies. And yeah, so you know, just man.
So tell us where we can find Midnight Munchies at.
So you can find Midnight Munchies on all of the delivery apps, DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats. We just signed on with Chow Now, and we're actually getting ready to do a grand opening because we never did one on Mother's Day. So y'all look forward to that. We have a lot of specials. I'm constantly in the kitchen being creative, so definitely gonna add a few new desserts and that type of thing. So I'm just looking forward to sharing, you know, my thoughts and desserts with everybody, and hopefully you guys love it.
Man, that's amazing, man. I love it. I love hearing it, man. I love. That's why I do things like this, and that's why I do this these type of videos, and because I love hearing people's stories, because it really inspired me too. You know, it inspired me, especially like as a black man, see another black man, like at certain levels in this industry. You know, because you know how hard you fought to get to your level.
Right.
You know, and I know how hard I fought to get to my level. And like when you see levels and you look at it like side by side, and you see people on that level too, it's like, it's almost like, to me, it's automatic respect.
Oh yeah,
you know, sure. Because it's like, yo, I understand how hard it is to get to this level,
that level
in the first place.
Yeah.
So the fact that you be on this level, I respect you. You know, and I love seeing that it's more and more black men, you know, reaching the levels that we're on and reaching our goals and not giving up on it. I love that we're telling our stories to the world, because you never know who we inspire. You know,
right?
We can inspire one person, and that's amazing.
That's so true, man. You know, I know for me, it's such a great, you know, experience to be around other black men who not only like respect each other in that way, but like we see each other for real. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times, especially like we talked about this before, about like just being in the space of when you in it, you don't really know how you look to the world. You just, especially as a chef, you focused on the work. It's like, all right, I need to do this, this, and this. I got to knock this out. And then these, you know, accomplishments or whatever is, you know, it's lining up on that list. But you don't look at it like that. You know what I mean? But there's a certain level of respect and that I feel like us as black men have for each other. And I think it's such a beautiful thing when we can acknowledge that within each other, but not in a competitive way, but more of in a brotherly sense.
Yes.
You know, and understanding that, like, you know, my shine ain't taken away from your shine.
It's enough shine for everybody. It's enough shine for everybody.
And then also, not even just that, but wanting each other to grow.
Yes.
Wanting each other to be successful, and not being in a competitive mind state of always thinking like, hey, not only do I have to outdo this person, but I have to take away opportunity from them. No, man, let me celebrate you. Let me give you opportunity.
You know, a lot of times where my joy come from? My joy come from seeing other people win too.
Yeah.
Cause like, it's not like a sport where it's like only one person can win the chip every year. This is a sport where everybody can win at their own thing. Yeah. Cause everybody got their own goal. And when I see my chef friends or my friends in life hit certain goals that I seen they was fighting for since day one, you know, it's like, yo, that shit, like I said, it's so inspiring. Like, I get inspired more by seeing them reach their goal, and when I hit mine, I be like, yeah, because now I know it's like, it's almost like
it's almost iron sharpened iron, bro.
You know really what I mean? It's like, hard to explain, but it's like it's a joy that I get when I see my friends winning. When I see the people I love winning. Yeah. Because I know I'm gonna win regardless. Right. You know what I mean? But
it is crazy because you know that could be taken as like arrogance, but it's like when you really understand, man, the blessing and the cover you have over your life, and like. Me, like I tell people all the time, I was having this conversation with one of my friends, and it's just like there's a certain level of ambition that I have regardless of what anybody around me doing. There's a certain you know, height I want to reach. That's, you know what I mean? And so for me, I know that I'm going that direction. No matter what, this is where I'm going. And to see another black man saying, hey man, like, this is inspiring, or what they're doing is inspiring me to grow even farther. Like, I look at a lot of chefs that, you know, like we talked about this before, about even somebody like Emeril Lagasse, and I say that to say, like, even though he's not a black man, but at the same time, it's like, I've seen him reach a certain height. So to me, you can't tell me that that's not possible.
That man was cooking in New Orleans, Louisiana, bro.
Right.
That man, he had some soul in him. And you want to know, you know, just to get back, just to talk about Emeril, I respect him so much because to me, that was one of the first chefs I used to always watch.
I used to watch him.
Like, yo, you gotta understand, in the hood, we had no cable.
Exactly.
And Food Network, for some reason, you did not need cable in order to watch the Food Network. Right. I found it funny because it's like, yo, you showing a lot of people that's starving how to cook. How to cook. Shit that they don't even got the name for it.
Right.
I used to watch that shit.
Put so much pizzazz on that
He made it look so cool to be a chef. Like, you know what I mean? And then who came out? Gervin came out.
Yeah,
Chef Gervin came out. Yeah. And then it was like, yo, yes, I can do this. Like, you know what I mean? And then you start seeing more and more people that it's like, okay. Now you start, once you start seeing people, like for example, I'll give an example of Marcus Samuelson, right? Because he owned Red Rooster in Harlem. But at Ballroom, I used to cook for him. Because Ballroom is probably like on 120th, Red Rooster is on 125th, right? Okay. And he used to come to the restaurant, and I used to always cook for him, right? And then I used to think like, yo, if he like my meals, I must be doing something right.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And that's when you get the confidence. And a lot of people, like you said, they'll take it as cockiness, but when you really love it, you expect people to get that confidence. Yeah. And I want your confidence to be borderline confident. I want you to talk. I want you to have that confidence. Shit. Yeah, probably. You know what? Because all of us as black men been taught to be humble so much, and
that we demean ourselves.
Oh my God! And I hate that.
We tone down our own fucking light.
We tone it down so much just to make people feel comfortable.
To make them feel comfortable.
And it's not.
And we remember we talked about this last time, because it's like, especially when you tall. You know what I'm saying? Black men, it's like you almost been taught to shrink. And one thing I'm glad, you know, my parents never did, which was, it's like, listen, y'all, you're going to be tall regardless. You can't hide. So, you know, you really need to step into that greatness. Walk into the room, own that. You know what I'm saying? Like, shoulders back, head square, you know, shoulders square, head high. And, you know, own it. And no matter how you feel on the inside, nobody don't gotta know that shit. And after a while, practice becomes just who you are. You know?
After a while, you start seeing how people take you differently.
Yeah.
Like, people could, like, I could tell when somebody come in the kitchen and have no confidence in what they do.
Yeah, you could tell.
Right? But then I could tell how they could have no confidence but a lot of talent. Yeah. Now it's like, you know what? I could work with that because I could build your confidence up by telling you you're talented. Right. You're talented. You're talented. You're talented. Now you're gonna start believing.
And then too, shit! Just giving them opportunity to prove that. It's like, hey, look, and I was a big proponent on that because I knew I was talented.
It's about giving them opportunity to mess up.
Right.
You know,
and then that's okay. You learn from it.
Because that's what you're going to learn. You're going to mess up. Yeah. I ain't gonna be mad about the mess up.
We ain't.
But as long as you don't mess up in certain areas, you know, like it's certain things.
But not even just that, having the confidence to show up again.
This is what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Mess up. Like, don't like mess up and then not show up again to fix it. You know what I mean? That's why I say you're gonna lose every time. If you mess up and be like, yo, own that mess up, then be like, listen, I'm coming back tomorrow. It's gonna be a different day.
It's gonna be a different day.
Now it's like either you're gonna show out or you're gonna allow me to teach you better. Yeah. You know, it's gonna be two other things.
I remember, it's funny now that I think about it, but I remember I was working at a high value restaurant, and I remember I was new there, but I had a lot of experience, so I was like, and I walked in on a rush, and I remember that shit looking crazy, and I was like, man, like, and it was like, you know, Chef, you know, at the time I was, you know, I was just on the line because I was helping one of my friends out, so I wasn't, you know, in charge of anything. But I was just like, man, I remember they didn't have nobody, they didn't have that, you know, that point person where they like, all right, you gonna be in the middle, you finna direct everything, you the quarterback. And I remember looking at it that day, and I was like, yeah, I ain't stepping in that shit, right? But then when I went home, and this is why I tell people, like, when you have that burning desire,
you feel shitty
when you don't do it. And I remember I called my homeboy, I said, listen, bro, I'm gonna apologize to you. And when I get there tomorrow, I'm gonna apologize to them. And I'm gonna step in the fire and I'm gonna handle it because I know that I can do that. Next day, came in, apologized to the whole line. And they was like, what you apologize for? I was like, listen, man, I seen what needed to be done. I knew it was my responsibility, being the one who knows how to do it, to step up in there and make it happen. But I ran from it. And so I said, so today, it's on me. And for the rest of the day, you know, when it got hot, I'm in there, nah, I got you, don't even worry about it.
You wanna know what's funny? I was watching Undisputed, right? And Uncle Shay Shay said something, and he's like, yo, I learned more from my losses than I ever did my wins.
Yeah. But when you win, you think everything right. You're not
Yo,
aware.
but that stuff right there, when he said that, a lot of stuff just smacked in my life because it was like, that's how I feel my life was. I had to lose a lot in the beginning, you know, but then once you start to understand it, you start winning. But like, you always go back to those times to lose because you remember like the grit and the grind. Like, you remember all that effort it took, and then it didn't work out. So where it's like you never want to feel that feeling again.
Yeah, you never want to feel it.
And that's what you run away from. And by you running away from that, never want to feel that shit again, you're running towards your greatness.
Right.
You know? And it's like, either you're going to sit in your failure or you're going to run towards your greatness. You know, it's either or. You know, and that's how I live my life.
No, that's how I live mine too. I mean, to me, I feel like when you make mistakes, you know, there's always a lesson in that. And I think as men, especially as black men, a lot of times that's another thing that I feel like we have not really been taught in that way in a lot of cases, which is like failure is not the end all be all. It's like, well, you're supposed to learn. You're not gonna go through life not failing at anything. Like, that's just an unrealistic thought process. But how do you respond after? You know, I do think sports teach you that a lot. When you lose, how do you come back? You know, I'm sure.
How do you treat your teammates when you lose?
Right.
How do you treat them
when they make a mistake?
That's the biggest thing. Like, how do you treat people when you lose?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of people lose and they treat everybody shitty like it was
their fault.
You gotta understand, like, yo, take the emotions out of it, man.
And when you realize as a man, especially as a black man, I will say, and shout out to my therapist, I think therapy is very important for us in understanding who you are. I think that, like, when you really understand how you're supposed to control your emotions, right? And that emotions, it's a feeling. 99% of the time, whatever you got emotions about, it ain't even real. You know what I mean? So allow it to flow through you. You know what I'm saying? And be present. I think learning that as a man helps you be a better leader. I think it helps you be a better father, even in relationships.
Just a person.
You know, as a person.
Know, that's a fact. Man, I'm not going to hold you too long because I know we both busy people. We got things to do. But before we get out of here, I come bearing gifts.
Okay. You know? What you got for me?
I got a couple of my Nitty Kitchen spices.
All right.
You know, on your right, you have that's the black lava spice. So that's pretty much like, to me, this is like the black, like, this is for us, you know?
Yeah.
We got that, that's the black salt, we got the rosemary, black peppercorns and all that stuff. You know, you're gonna love that, right? Then we have that one you picked up. That one is a Himalayan pink truffle salt.
What?
Yeah, so that right there is definitely like one of the top sellers. You know, that's definitely a top seller. Listen, I put that on everything, like French fries, everything. Right? That's the one, right? And right there, you know, I know you a pastry chef and everything too,
right,
so
right.
that's the cinnamon sugar.
Okay.
You know, so you can use that for your pastries. You can also use that for some French toast in the morning.
Okay.
Yo, that make the best French toast ever. I promise you.
That's what I'm talking about.
But yeah, I come in this. That's as a token of my appreciation for this interview.
Man, I appreciate you.
I just want to say thank you so much,
use,
man.
bro.
Thank you so
Always,
much, man. For real.
Always.
Man, listen, y'all. This has been another episode of Shut Your Chef, brought to you by Nitty Kitchen. Here with Chef Todd, man. Get in with them, you know, and I'll see you on the next episode, man. Love y'all, man. For real.
Man, this was silly.
I appreciate this, bro. For real. Welcome to Nitty Kitchen.